is a large, contributes a lot to our tax base. So the state gets a lot of money from the oil industry. Although I like to interject that the oil industry in Louisiana has not created a new job in about 20 years, one additional job. The only time they've shown that they've increased workers is when a worker dies. Because if a worker dies on the job, they then get a tax incentive to rehire a person in that place, so they get a tax break. So anytime they've increased their workforce, the state has repaid them for doing that with the tax break, even if that company killed the person, which is really unbelievable. But the lobbyists for the oil industry and the chemical association is unbelievable. And so if you want to not get elected, attempt to come up against these companies. So they've been compromised. Our elected officials, regardless of their race, are compromised by the oil industry because it is, in fact, so powerful. And Louisiana has a history of corruption. The Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality and Monique could speak even more strongly about this than I, was really almost taken to court for violations where they were actually working for the corporations rather than for the community. They were extremely corrupt, and when we started our EJ program in Louisiana, the head of the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality told me I shouldn't be doing this. That's his job. I'm like, your job is inequality, not equity in any way, or protecting communities in any way, from what I can see. You've always been against anything that would make the environment safer. So, you have this situation where the corporations control the politics of the state. And you can see what's happening here at this climate summit, where corporations are still controlling it. And so we don't have a climate change agreement. We don't. And we're not going to get one, from what I can understand here, because corporations don't want it. I was sitting on the bus coming, and I was sitting across from a Chinese delegate, and he began to talk to me about what was going on at the summit. And he said to me, the United States is selfish. It only thinks about domestic policy and what happens at home rather than thinking about the whole. So I said, that's certainly true. But then I began to think about China. Where's China on all of this? It's one of the big five, also blocking climate policy at this particular point, or an agreement among the nations. So we live in a capitalistic system. And I call it cowboy capitalism. It's gone haywire, where there seems to be no controls, and it seems to be continuing in that way. The fallout is that all of us in the end suffer, because if all of the air is contaminated, then none of us can breathe. So why we don't all get on board is simple. I really believe that it is because some people believe that regardless of how bad it is for others, they'll be able to find a space to live the way they want to, as wealthy, rich, wonderful lives. And so the suffering is for other people, but not for them. Even in countries, the suffering is for other countries, not for my country. And people are at the table, like that, rather than understanding that this is one earth, all waters are connected, all the air is connected. Sooner or later, it all gets around to all of us. And until we get there, we'll be doing this dance. Louisiana, however, is a special case, if you understand what I'm saying. We've been doing this dance for a very long time, filled with corruption, bought by the petrochemical industry in particular. And so our quality of life is not what it should be. We have as much oil as Texas and more gas than Texas, but yet we are an extremely poor state. How do you explain that? Except that there's